Sri Lanka. The image that comes to mind is a war between beauty and tragedy. There are few places I've traveled where the warm and welcoming beauty of the people match the physical beauty of the country itself. Yet this nation has endured and continues to endure unprecedented tragedy. Poverty, war, and natural disaster, just to name a few. And in part, these tragedies have led to a nation with more than 21,000 children who are considered orphans and approximately 488 children's homes. Many of these homes are understaffed and underfunded with little to no support from the outside world. So why do these homes even exist? Who's helping them? Should they be shut down? These are complex questions in a complex nation, but wherever complexity exists, so does beauty.
My name is Nick, and together with my wife Whitney, we started an orphan care advocacy organization called the Archibald Project. Through our work, we have witnessed the tragedy of generations growing up without a family. But we have also witnessed incredible people who are giving their lives to make sure these children have hope. You need to meet these people. You need to hear their stories. And we must reclaim this lost generation. Come with us as we advocate for family and journey toward a family of our own.
Sri Lanka is really busy. There are people everywhere and so many faces watching all the time.
Oh,
it's
very
awesome.
nice.
Yeah. Hey, yeah.
Sri Lanka.
Like that.
Sri Lanka. Sri Lanka girls.
Sri Lanka.
Oh,
It's
Sri Lanka,
beautiful.
nice.
Thank you. Thank you. Point proven. Growing up, I don't remember hearing about Sri Lanka. Wars and tragedy in the Middle East dominated the headlines. But whether we knew it or not, this small island nation was entrenched in conflicts of equal significance. One of its most unjust victims was, and still is, children. And while I was safe at home with my loving family, there were people right here, not fighting in the war, but fighting for the lives of orphaned and vulnerable children. One of those people was Therese Koelmeyer.
Okay, so what initially drew you to Sri Lanka? Like, what about this culture excites you?
Okay, the culture wasn't the thing that excited me.
Okay.
It was just, I really felt that I had a heart to work with kids.
Therese grew up in Tacoma, Washington, but moved to Sri Lanka at the age of 23. She was working in community outreach, but in 1988, she found herself with legal custody of a malnourished baby. This was only the beginning. Over the years, Therese and her husband Roger would go on to raise 3 biological children, 1 adopted child, and 21 long-term foster children. But Therese didn't stop there. In the wake of the 2004 tsunami, Therese started an organization called KidsNet to help improve the lives of children still inside institutions. I met up with Therese in the coastal capital city of Colombo, but she takes me towards the center of the country to see the incredible natural diversity Sri Lanka has to offer. This mountainous area is where the majority of the tea is grown. And no trip to Sri Lanka would be complete without having some of their phenomenal tea.
So you've been here now 30 plus years?
Yeah.
Wow. And you're working with vulnerable children.
Yes.
What is the main reason in Sri Lanka that children are separated from their families?
I don't think you can say it's one reason.
Sure.
There's
That's a big question.
quite a few factors.
Sure. Okay, so what are some of the big
Okay, the most
big
drastic would
reasons?
just be that kids lost their parents. Another huge factor is the war. The war.
There are two main ethnic groups in Sri Lanka, the Sinhalese and the Tamils. With a desire for independence, a minority of Tamils organized into a resistance group called the LTTE, accusing the Sri Lankan government of burning down the historic and culturally important Jaffna library. The LTTE, or Tamil Tigers, responded by killing 13 government soldiers. The country erupted into war that would last 26 years. UNICEF estimated that roughly 1 million children were affected by the war, and over 300,000 displaced.
Another major factor was 10 years ago, actually 11 now, was the tsunami. And I will never forget as long as I live.
You were here.
I was here during the tsunami, yeah. And
On December 26, 2004, still 5 years before the war ended, Sri Lanka was devastated by a massive tsunami. Over 30,000 people died, and more than 5,000 children lost either one or both parents. Children's homes along the coast were destroyed, while others were inundated with children who had nowhere else to go. This strained homes that were already struggling to provide. Therese witnessed this devastation and trauma firsthand and knew she had to help. This eventually led to the start of KidsNet.
Okay, so the kids are in the homes, but what's your role? What's KidsNet role?
So really what we do is we work with the management and the staff.
Okay.
We help raise the standard for homes that are already existing, that are already registered.
Okay.
The management of those homes attend our meetings. They agree to be transparent and financially accountable.
Yes.
Our vision is to enable higher standards of residential care in Sri Lanka. That's our vision statement.
Wow.
Therese is also working on bringing more local adoption, foster care, and resettlement to Sri Lankan culture. But this change is slow, and therefore kids are still growing up in children's homes. Therese and KidsNet are working to make sure these children are not forgotten. She wants to improve their standard of living and standard of care so they have the best chance of becoming healthy, successful adults.
Yeah.
But this hasn't been going on for your entire time that you've been here.
Oh, no,
When did
just
this
the last
start?
10 years ago.
What? Oh, when the tsunami happened.
Post-tsunami.
And that's why you started it, because you saw the need?
Actually, I was working full-time in our home. My husband and I directed at Lotus Buds Children's Home.
So you started a baby's home. In what year?
1989.
1989. And how old were you?
25.
25. And then you got married.
Yeah, when I
So
was
your
27.
husband met you and was like, oh, sure, you've got 17 kids, or you've got a bunch of kids. Let's get married.
Not quite.
Oh, my goodness.
For the following 28 years, my entire life was dedicated to raising a huge family of kids.
Amazing.
So
That's beautiful.
I just basically...
Today, all of Therese and Roger's 25 kids are grown up and have moved out of the house. Some are married and many live all over the world. But Therese feels like her work is far from over.
Is that what keeps you here, or why do you stay if your kids are all out of the house?
I didn't come to Sri Lanka because of that.
Yeah.
I just really have a heart that God has given me to love on kids, to work on behalf of kids at risk, and to help them to have some kind of glimpse of what I experienced in my life as a kid. My parents loved us to pieces.
Your job of loving isn't over just because your
No.
kids are older.
No.
I am so happy to be here with you, and I'm really excited to see the home that you're going to take us to.
Oh, I can't wait till tomorrow.
Yes.
Tomorrow we hit the train early morning.
Early morning train ride.
And we're going from Colombo on the west coast and western province all the way to as far north as we can.
And we're going
in
to
Sri
see
Lanka.
one of the areas that was greatly affected by the war.
We're going right to the center of it and the home that was walked through it with all their kids. So get excited. Go to see Aylam Children's Home tomorrow.
Yay.
Yes.
Can't wait.
So here we go again.
Here we go.
What do you think about Therese so far with the time that we've spent with her?
Therese has shown me that I can do and endure a lot more than I think that I can, and that humans can do more. And I think it's so admirable that she, at a young age, felt called to do something, and then she did it, and she's still doing it.
Yeah, like 31 years is a
Yeah.
long time to be serving people,
Yeah.
and she's still doing it.
She's still doing it. And I told her the other day, I was like, I think you should write a book. And she was like, I don't have time to write a book.
What are you expecting with tomorrow and going to the orphanage in the north?
On one hand, I'm thinking I'm excited to see Therese with children because I've seen her around adults and her children. And then another thing I'm thinking is, what am I going to be thinking as like a mom with kids still living in a home? A children's home. Am I going to be thinking about them? Am I going to be thinking about what they're living through and going through? And I actually fear that I am going to be a basket case in all reality. But
It's
I'll
okay.
have my camera in front of my face so you won't be able to tell.
It's okay if you're a basket case.
Well, probably not a basket case.
Well, that's true.
Gotta hold it together a little bit.
Today, Therese is taking me to see one of the children's homes that she and KidsNet have partnered with. Normally, I wouldn't be too keen on waking up this early to get on a 7-hour bumpy train ride. But this train has character. The Queen of Jaffna, as she's known, sat sadly idle for 24 years while the war raged on. But time heals, and she is back in service with a beauty that can only be shaped by history. It's easy to forget that at one time, this journey could cost you your life. The road that parallels was known as the Highway of Blood. But that didn't stop Therese from getting to the children who needed her help.
I was here at my own risk. The U.S. Embassy pulled out a heap of their staff and everything because of the war. 89 because of war. Yeah. So
Was your family freaking out?
they didn't know. I didn't tell them.
Oh, yeah, so cool.
Good call.
So what kind of home are we going to then today?
Okay, the home that we're going to is Aylam Children's Home. Actually, it's amazing.
Okay, that's interesting because there's this big movement right now to shut down all children's homes / orphanages in the world. But if this home that we're going to didn't exist during the war and even after, like, where would these kids have gone and what would have happened to them?
I can't imagine. I don't think they'd be alive.
You don't think they'd be alive?
Most of the kids don't. Or else they would have been child soldiers, right?
Now there's no war. What would happen if this home just closed down?
I don't know where they'd go. There's no system. There's no foster care system. I've been doing training with the government for a number of years to implement foster care in Sri Lanka. And honestly, right now in Sri Lanka, the only best option we have is safe residential care in children's homes that have an environment where kids can grow, learn, and find hope and future. Hello. Hi, this is my friend Whitney.
Nice to
with
see
you.
you.
Hey, Rama. How are
Welcome
you?
to everyone. Fine.
Thank you. We're so happy to be here.
Wow.
Oh my goodness, this is
Therese.
beautiful.
Ramo is 47 years old and has been the chairman and managing director of Aylam Children's Home for the past 10 years. But Ramo is no ordinary director because he spent a large part of his life growing up at this very same children's home.
My father is a driver and a heavy smoker. So we came out and we looked at where we can go.
Sure.
So then my mother thought we all had suicide. But Auntie Anita said that they can stay there.
That's really beautiful. It's so beautiful that they said, you are all welcome.
So that point, it touched my heart.
Yeah.
So then I thought that to serve it.
Thank you for choosing to serve here. It's really wonderful. I'm really encouraged by you.
Then we can show it another place.
Okay. Oh, yeah.
Aylam was founded in the 1970s, and today 55 children call this place home. Ramo shows us the separate boys and girls' quarters. They are clean and organized, and they almost remind me of a college dorm. He then takes us to the kitchen where all the food is prepared. The staff is friendly and welcoming, and the food looks fresh and delicious.
It is the best. And you're making it? Oh, thank you.
Ramo shows us where assemblies are held, the school for the younger children, and the future site to house and care for the elderly of the community.
You have elders that live here currently?
We planned that,
You
but
plan to. That is a beautiful door.
yeah.
Something that stands out to me are the nice clothes the children are wearing. Ramo explains that they were provided by the board of directors and donors, many of whom were former children of the home. These children were able to leave this place and become successful. They don't want the kids of today to live like orphans, but to have every opportunity that any other kid would have. Another reason for the quality of care at this home is the support that Therese and KidsNet have provided. They have helped provide a new computer room and computers, washing machines, rice cookers, school supplies, and much more. They also provide staff training and emotional support. This is important because if the staff are not cared for, how can they care for the children? So far, I'm really impressed with the level of care of this home, but a question still burns in the back of my mind. Why can't these kids just be with their families?
That because we know our Jaffna Peninsula situation, because the children are staying in the relative mean, the relative having our own children, their own children are studying well, this kind of children are neglecting.
Why is there not more to help the families rather than taking the children?
But we help that way also. 99 to 2014, we given the money to relatives and we monitor. We face the problem because some are taking liquor and they're drunk and they're fighting with our people.
Yeah,
So
I
that
hear
kind
you.
of thing we face only. We thought we encourage the people, children to come to our home.
Sure.
Ramo tells me that there was a push from the probation courts in Jaffna to get the kids out of the institutions and back with relatives and families. But after seeing how poorly many of the children were being treated, especially in cases of remarriage, they reversed their position and began sending children to Aylam.
It will the people who leave here are going to change the next generation, and it will be good.
Yeah, even the child is entering the home, within a week time, we can see the changes.
So if the family is safe and good,
yeah.
then the child can leave here and go back to
Go
them.
back.
But if the family is not safe,
Yeah.
they stay here.
Yeah.
I see.
It could be easy to judge these families and the way the children are treated, but it's important to remember that this area especially is still recovering from an almost 30-year civil war. This affects children and families in a way that will take years to fully understand. Ramo takes me around the city of Jaffna, which at first looks like a normal functioning city, but with a closer look, you can still see the effects of a brutal war. Dilapidated homes, buildings, and old ruins stand as reminders that scores of bombs were dropped and endless rounds of ammunition fired. Ramo even takes us to his early childhood home where you can still see bullet holes in the walls.
And I don't think they can keep this structure because everything shattered.
Everything's gotten shaken.
Shake. So you had to remove all thing and build a new one.
The city was not the only casualty of the war. The fighting got so bad in 1995 that Aylam had to be evacuated for 2 years. At other times, Aylam served as a refuge from the fighting, so as many as 400 people from the surrounding neighborhood sought shelter inside these walls.
So you're saying if this home wasn't here, you and your mother and your brothers would have had nowhere to go.
Yeah.
And then even during the war, if it wasn't here,
Yeah.
you guys would be, you said you would have died.
Yeah.
And now you're saying because you've been blessed and helped by this amazing place, you've taken your life and given your resources and your education to pour back into the children because you care about
Yes.
them having the same opportunities that you did.
Yes.
Oh my gosh, you need some type of award.
I'm not sure what I expected to find here in Jaffna. I think it was something more sad. I thought I would find a depressed orphanage full of people just barely getting by, the kind of place that possibly needs to be boarded up. But what I found was a children's home that has been a pillar of the community for almost 50 years, a place where the children are known and loved. I know this place still has heartache and brokenness, but it's being served by people who come from the same place. Not only did Ramo grow up here, but he and his wife have adopted 2 teenage children from Aylam. Would it be better if this place didn't need to exist? Of course it would. But the fact is, Jaffna just isn't there yet. But I believe someday they will be. And these people and these children will be the ones that take them there.
Don't you feel like that's happening everywhere we go to? Is yes, people are very different, but we're not that different.
We're not that different at all. Like, the whole reason I've wanted to ever do art for a cause and to give back is because I truly believe that I've only been given the gift of storytelling and photography so that I can use it for others. And I felt like Therese said the same thing, and so did Ramu.
I don't even know if that's how you say it.
Rama.
Stop saying that.
Ramo. It's just finding community on the other side of the world, literally the other side of the world. People who feel like they've been given something in order to turn around and give it back to others. And it's just encouraging. And I realized too with the children that it's just really easy to hear the word orphan or orphanage or children's home and to think that person doesn't really exist. They're over there. That's somebody else's problem. But meeting them and hearing their stories and getting to know them, I realized you're just like my nieces. You're just like my nephews. And now, especially, we're adopting 3 kids. Like, they're just like our kids. They're kids. They're humans.
What do you feel is the most important thing people should know about this place?
That it exists. And that these kids are so worthy of love and a family.
I will never forget the incredible beauty I encountered in Sri Lanka, nor will I ever fully understand the tragedy that wages war against it. But I do know one thing. The adversity here is producing a people who are willing to sacrifice their lives for the next generation. Beauty is being birthed from tragedy. And although tragedy may win another battle, beauty will win the war.